Hi, good morning. My name is Craig Blanchette, and it's my it's my privilege to hang out with you guys once a week. This is our health coach huddle, and every week we get together here, and a lot of things happen here. A lot of things that don't happen anywhere else happen here, and so I want to encourage you guys. If you guys are watching this live, you can tune into these and listen to them on podcast. And podcast is audio only. If you search iTunes or whatever podcast player you have for Team Blanchette, you'll be able to find that. And then I also post the video so you can see all the people's faces and things like that. And the video goes through Vimeo and YouTube. So you can subscribe to the Health Coach Huddle on either Vimeo or YouTube. And then every time we have a new episode, it'll automatically notify you. But the other nice thing about, for those of you that are live, obviously the people that are watching this on podcast, you can join us live here weekly at 9 a.m. Pacific. And one of the things I've talked with Terry Miller a little bit about different types of meetings and stuff. And there's different things that Take Shape for Life offers. And we talked about this last week. Monday nights is health coach night. That's where we do a lot of the health coach training. And then Wednesday night is client support night, right? So we do the doctor and the nurse call are now combined into one call. And that starts at 5 p.m. Pacific. It goes from 5 to 5:30. And then at 5:30 to 6 is the Habits of Health webinar. And so basically, Monday nights is coach training. Wednesday nights is client support. And so that means you. Just because you're a coach doesn't mean you stopped being a client. Client is basically a student of the Habits of Health. So make sure that you're tuning into those at least once a month to stay tuned into what's going on. And so then Friday mornings is really, it's our healthy family hangout time. And so we get together and we talk and we get to, it's something that doesn't happen on Mondays, something that doesn't happen on Wednesdays. So this is a unique thing. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that idea of when to create your own thing and when to join something somebody else has done. That's one of the topics this morning. The other thing we're going to talk about is a power hour schedule for the month of December. We'll go to that in a little more detail. And we're going to talk about the incentive trip and why incentive trips, what's behind the incentive trip that makes it, or the rewards trip, I guess is what they're calling it. What's behind those trips and how do we see value? Because personally, I didn't have a lot of interest in the incentive trips. And I had a meeting with Terry, and she asked me a bunch of questions and tried to figure out how to intrinsically motivate me to see the value in those from things that I value. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about an idea for a December promotion that Dan Bell recommended, and we're going to talk through that. But before we go any further, I wanted to see if we have any guests on. Looks like Diane's. Oh, Diane, who are you? Are you a guest? No. Funny. I'm going to go ahead and unmute everybody except Terry. Chatting with the kitties. It's like, don't unmute me. And I really want to just thank you guys for hanging out with me on Fridays and talk just a little bit about inviting people here to hear what's the value of being here, things like that, and kind of just check in with you guys. I know I talked with Barb yesterday about inviting a gentleman to come, and I'd like to just kind of just, briefly how you met him, and then how you utilized or invited him to be part of this and why. And so
invited him to be part of
well, you had mentioned this meeting, is a way that we can see people. So the guy's name was Mike.
Mike.
Yeah.
And it was actually the second time I had actually talked with him. I talked with him the night before. I met him through a prayer group that I joined a little while ago on Facebook, and one of the other members had asked for prayers for him because he was going through some challenges, was out of work, and that kind of thing. So long story, I guess, is that I reached out and said, "What kind of work are you seeking?" And he, private messaged me, and I quickly took it to a phone call and found out that, he was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, was been working on his own to get to a healthier state. And then mentioned that he was on food stamps, and but was interested in health coaching. I asked him what he thought I did or what health coaching was. And so he gave his answer, and I said, well, you know what, let me just get a three-way going with one of my mentors, who I think is, whose story is maybe not unlike yours. So I quickly looked at Craig's schedule, saw that he had time. We got together yesterday, and in the course of the conversation, and I had actually mentioned to him Wednesday night that we did a team huddle, but he couldn't make it because he had volunteered to make tamales for his church group today. So he was very interested in following up. And so we talked with Craig yesterday, and thank you, Daniela, for letting us interfere with your time. I know we interrupted that a little bit, but so it was just, it was one of those things that kind of grew really organically, really quickly. Mm-hmm. And me being pretty much, a little reticent about moving forward with health coaches in particular, I quickly decided that anytime I had an opportunity, I was getting the team involved because I've had some issues. So.
Well, and that's great. And that's what I loved about it, because he came on board and we just had a conversation. And after we were kind of at the end, Barbara, I said, so how did you think that went? And she said, wow, I realized at the beginning of the call, I had an agenda, and we didn't cover hardly any part of my agenda. Right. And I said, I had an agenda too. And this is something I'm working on, by the way. I don't have this locked in, but it's my awareness. Is I was curious to find out, to get to know this person and see what kind of person he was. I just had curiosity as my agenda. And so we were discussing, I was just asking him questions about himself. And it wasn't efficient. He went on rabbit trails. He told some silly stories that were a little awkward. And but we related. I told him I did massage therapy, and he told me about an experience of having a massage, and it was an interesting conversation, and so it just went, it seemed like it wasn't really very productive, but at the end, within the last 2 minutes, I said, well, I've got another meeting. Actually, it was with Daniela. I said, I've got another meeting scheduled here. So I'm curious, I'd love to share a little bit more about what we do as health coaches. You now know too. And, we're always looking for people that have a desire to help other people, but just aren't sure how to really make that happen. Was that something you're interested in? And he said, yes. Right. So it was like 28 minutes of wherever it went there. Right, Barb? It was
yeah. And to be honest, when I thought about it afterwards, my total agenda was to bring somebody to a mentor, mm-hmm. and watch the mentor work.
And so you accomplished that. Clearly.
So I accomplished that, but did we get to any of the kind of standard things about why and all of that? No, we didn't. But we're meeting again on Monday, so things are moving, and this is a very good thing for me to watch and see what happens.
Well, and if we're thinking about it, people are not machines, and so we can't sort of stuff them in a box and get to your why and what do you want and come on, I've got stuff to do. I got the world to save. Now get out of my way and let me get to the next person, right? And sometimes we're so focused on helping people, we don't actually help anybody, you know? And I think, quite frankly, it seemed like what he needed yesterday was someone to just connect with. May have been a little lonely. You know, I mean, I asked him a couple questions. Tell me about your health. And he told me he lost a bunch of weight. And I made sure I encouraged his efforts.
Right.
Who cares if he didn't use our tools or didn't know anything about our tools? He used water. That's one of our tools, right? He ate things and he slept. So those are our tools. So in a sense, he was doing our program. But he doesn't know anything about Take Shape for Life or any of that. But I encouraged him for what was behind the tools, which is his desire to be healthier. And then I asked him, so tell me a little bit about what, you know, your vocational background, what kinds of things interest you? And he says, archaeology. And I mean, he starts talking about all these things. And I'm like, fascinating. I was curious. And so this is something that I'm working on because I have so much room for improvement on. And I'm just trying to actually be truly interested in people.
Yeah.
And I'm not very interested in you. I'm mostly interested in me and what you think about me. I'm just being totally frank.
Hey, Craig, one of the things that I'm thinking about with this is how different it can be to begin and explore conversation with somebody that you already have lots of relationship versus somebody that you don't. Like this person, for Barbara, she didn't know anything about him, right? She just met him through this prayer group versus somebody that maybe you've been friends with or you knew from high school, or, you know, you've got some different background. So that conversation can often progress a little differently. But when it's just raw and you just met them, there's no relationship to for them to even trust what you're telling them until they get a chance to share themselves with you and you get to hear them.
We were just warming up. We were warming up to each other. It was ice breaking is what I called it. We were just sort of kind of checking each other out a little bit. And I allowed him to talk most. And that was the person we just met at all. And there's different situations where you have some connection or common unity. You have a little bit of community with some people. And so you talk about the things that you're commonly unified about. And if it's health, well, then obviously you can go it's the speed of trust. There's a book actually called The Speed of Trust. And we were building trust, and trust was built just by spending time and becoming a little more familiar about kind of cadence we use, the jokes we tell, the listening skills, the whatever, just the personalities that we have. And so that was just an example, because sometimes we clinicalize this. We're not we don't sell widgets, right? We sell ourselves, and we promote community relationships. That's what we do. We don't sell candles. You know, we're in a wellness industry, and wellness through relationship. So it's not something you can sell. It's an experience that you have. And so you can only go at the speed of the trust that you have. And he had no trust with me, or he had ultimate trust because I was just new, and based upon Barbara, based upon what Barbara brought me in as an expert. So he may not have trusted her well, but she said that I was somebody important in not those words, and so I had a certain level of trust with him. Anyway, so the whole thing goes there. I want to tell you another story that we had too. I went and drove Uber yesterday morning, and because of the weather, that we had ice and snow and stuff here. And so I thought it'd be a great time to meet some people, and plus it'd be fun to drive my all-wheel drive car that's never been off the pavement on some roads that were more appropriate. And first person I picked up, she's she does coffee roasting, and she was going to a coffee roasting seminar, workshop, trade show, something like that. So it was about a 25-minute drive down into Portland. And we're talking about things, you know, and I mentioned that I just drive as a hobby and I'm a health coach. And one of the pieces that I said, I've never said this before, but I said, well, I have a health coach practice and I'm a lifestyle coach up in Vancouver. And so, you know, I work with people, but I'm also a recruiter. I recruit people for the health industry, for a health industry. And she says, oh, interesting, you know, and then I kind of tossed it back to her. And she, you know, she said, I asked her what she did before she was doing what she's doing now. And she said she was in real estate with her mom or her aunt. And I asked her, I was trying to be curious. What did you like about that experience? And she said, the people. Well, immediately when she said people, I said, oh, I like people too. Health coaches have to like people. So there was a common unity. And then I continued to explore, asking questions. And then I got to a point, she asked me a question. She said, what does the training process look like to become a lifestyle coach? And I'm thinking, I love that question. You know, that was in the sales world, that was a buying question, basically. And I said, well, we have, it's an apprentice style training system where we actually partner with people in an apprentice style and show you how to do it and then do it with you. And then we also have a certification through the Villanova School of Nursing where we get certified as health coaches. And then I tossed it back to her again, you know. So I was trying to really do the bouncy the ball thing. You know, I said, tell me something about coffee, you know, what, you know, because I told her I didn't drink coffee. She told me a bunch of stuff about coffee that I had no awareness about. It was really interesting, actually. And then 2 minutes, we're pulling up, and I said, hey, I got kind of a crazy idea. And so one of the things that I do is I do these exploring health coaching, sort of like a day in the life of a health coach, because it's kind of a weird thing. But you seem pretty enthusiastic, and you really, you know, you told me you really like people. I'm curious to see what you think about it. Is that something that you would be interested in? And she said, I would be very interested. Right. And so it was a 30-minute conversation, and I didn't overplay my hand, or I don't know, I didn't vomit on her. I was trying to continue to be interested. And so this is a skill that we develop over time. And I think it made for a very fun conversation. I think as we get good at this, it's part of our skill set as a health coach. But as you develop the skill, relationships become really fun. They just get better. You start to enjoy people more. So anyway, so that's just kind of big picture, and that kind of takes me, you know, around the holiday season and how you're interacting with people. You know, are there opportunities that are out there that you're missing, or are there opportunities where I mean, actually, I'd love for you guys to kick this around a little bit. Are there situations where you saw the opportunity and didn't take it because you were nervous? Think about that. If you have those, I'd love to hear that. Or there are situations where you started talking, but you kind of got lost, you know? So does anybody have any situations like that where you wanted to, you know, I don't know, you guys understand the question. Can you think of anything? Thanks, Don, by the way. Nobody's talking to people.
Nobody's talking. Well, I'll say something.
Okay, Martin, bring it home.
And it's all about the dance.
The dance?
Basically, it's all about the dance. And so when we're creating meet someone and we're creating the choreography, it's really about this dance and getting to know them. And we really want to take time and become a tracker, make sure what we do is attractive to them and be curious with them to show that we're interested, because that's really what people want to know, is to feel validated. When it goes sideways is, instead of vomiting on them, say we're at the dance and I see someone and I go ask them to dance. Instead of asking them to dance, I go right in for the hug or the smooch or the holding of hands. And so I'm rushing. I know what I have they're gonna like, so I just need to show them that they're gonna like. I'm a good kisser, and I'm gonna show them that I'm a good kisser. We haven't danced yet. We haven't spoke, but I know what I can do is gonna make them feel good.
Yeah.
And so I met someone the other day. It was, and I just rushed the information, or rushed a little bit too far, and wasn't curious enough to really find out about what they wanted to develop that relationship and develop the trust.
That the idea in my mind you've seen in movies where a guy leans in to kind of steals a kiss, and the woman smacks him. It's because they went too quick, and we can sort of get that smack with health coaching when it's inappropriate. And I think you'll learn when it's inappropriate, hopefully.
Right. Or what they said in Hitch. I don't know if you guys saw the movie Hitch.
Hitch, yeah, that's right.
Where you lean in for the kiss. We're only supposed to go a little. We're not supposed to go the whole way. We're just supposed to lean in and see.
And let them lean the rest of the way. Yeah,
respond.
That's good. Terry Miller said the same thing about when you were dating your partner. When you were dating your spouse before they were your spouse, when you asked them to marry you, you probably were fairly, I mean, there's a lot of ladies on here, so it's you were the ones being asked. But when they asked you, you were pretty sure whether you were going to say yes or no when they asked, right? And for the man, if the man was the one that asked, we were pretty sure she was going to say yes. We were more than 50% sure. It wasn't a if 50-50 or we weren't asking, right? What if we did that with health coaching? What if before we asked someone to partner up with us, we were pretty sure they were going to say yes, because we got to know them. We got to know what they love. We got to know the things that are important to them, just like you would when you're dating. Anyway, I thought it was a great analogy. And so think about these kinds of conversations, and I guess some of these are sort of abstract concepts. So I want to take it back to something that's personal to each one of you. If Take Shape for Life was still an unknown to you, you'd never heard of the 5 in 1. You'd never heard of Habits of Health, Dr. A. Go back 6 years, I had no clue about any of this. And it had been going for 7-8 years before that. I had no clue about it. And what my life would be like today if I were to unknow what I know. It'd be different. I'd look different. I would sound different. I would relate different, for sure. And I would work different. I'd still be in the computer industry. Well, hopefully. So anyway, so think about that, your life before Take Shape for Life, and then that person that inspired you, whatever that looked like. It was a conversation, it was a photo, they just showed up and they were looking amazing and you couldn't believe it. Whatever that was. And because you are that for other people. You are that and can be that for other people. And so are you honoring that? Are you asking the question, simple question this time of year? Do you have any resolutions for the new year? Simple question that everybody's going to have an answer to. And we can all ask that. Hey, will you have any resolutions for the new year? How did you do with your resolutions from 2016? Great question. And just ask the question and be curious because you don't know what they're going to say. I mean, I don't know how you could, but if you're curious, ask the question and wait for the answer. Be curious whether even is an answer. and see where things go. I think people will really come alive, and you'll know what to do. Don't reach in for the kiss too soon.
Craig, can I ask a question? I was at my my networking meeting too early yesterday morning, and I was talking to some people. I ended up talking to 8 or 9 people altogether about our Take Shape for Life meeting that we're going to have here tomorrow. Yeah. And I approached, so there's a couple of fitness trainers, personal trainers that I wanted to share with them that it could be another income stream for them, and it's congruent with what they're already doing. So this one guy who's very, very fit was talking to this gal who, you know, I mean, as a fitness trainer, well, I don't mean it to be a pun, but you size people up very quickly. Like, oh, okay, I know what I can do for them. And you guys as coaches too. I mean, you do that. Like, I can help them. They clearly, so this lady, I'm thinking, okay, she probably could lose between 60 and 70 pounds, maybe 80 pounds. And as we started talking about it, she's like this. And she said, I said, oh, are you familiar with it? And she said, yeah, I did that some years ago, and I lost a lot of weight, and I've kept it off. And I'm thinking, like, I didn't know what to do, because did you weigh 300 pounds before? And clearly, so to me, the difference in perspective, she's thinking, yeah, it was pretty good, and I kept the weight off, but I'm like, lady, you're clearly in, like, because if you read material, 30 pounds or more, right? Doctors say if you need to lose 30 pounds or more, you are in an obese category.
So she may have not got to a healthy weight, but she definitely lost evidently some weight.
So what do you...
I would say, are you done? Or what's the next thing you're working on? So you got this far, what's next? Because there's always something next. It may not have anything to do with the weight, but what are you working on now? Or are you satisfied with where you're at today? I know you've came a long way, and great job. Can you guys, any of you, think of a way? Some of the veteran coaches here, can you think of how you would answer that, or what you would do? Betsy, I know you always have some good feedback.
I was going to say, my question was, and how did it work for you? What did you like about it?
There you go.
Engage with her about the program. What has stuck with you from the program? I mean, just, find out kind of why she quit, but by asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's fantastic, Susie. What's one? There's some things that have changed for you.
Martin, which microphone are you using? Because you're quiet again.
I'm using the one that irritates you.
Martin, I can't hear you.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah.
Oh.
He's a low talker.
I was using the Logitech one.
Okay. Well, so anyway, we can hear you a little bit, but so you were saying, what was your thing? So you said...
I was saying, that's fantastic. What some things that have changed for you?
Yeah, what's changed? Yeah. Or is there a habit? Is there something that you learned that you're still doing? Kind of reinforce the good things. But I would say, so what's next for you? Because if she really embraced our program, we're never done. Right?
Yeah, and oddly, she did share that her daughter has a couple of kids. She's home. She did Weight Watchers online. She lost 80 pounds, and that's awesome. And she was so proud of her daughter, so she could witness that, see that somebody that's close to her, and yet was blind to her own needs, and her own health issues. That, wow. Because I'm thinking in my mind, you're going to be prone to heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure. I mean, diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and I was like, I couldn't even say anything because I didn't want it to come out rude and
Yeah.
and judgmental.
Well, that's good instincts there, Lenan, because my usually we're very it's seldom that we're motivated by the negative, and if you would have said, well, yeah, but you're still fat, I mean, that's probably not going to get you anywhere, right? So asking her, you guys are all laughing at me. I mean, that may be what we're thinking, but we have to translate that and say, so what's the next thing you're working on? Or what are you working on now? Or are you satisfied with your current level of health? Or what are the things, trying to get her to think about it's not over. It's never over until we die. There's always the next sort of thing to work on, because she did the diet portion of our program. She probably didn't do the wellness part of our program, right? Because otherwise she'd still be on the program, right? Whether you're maintaining your weight or not, you're still, if you're practicing the habits of health, So anyway, those are just some things. One of the things that we do, when we first start, and this is something you'll figure out, when we first start out with this program, we look at it as a weight loss program, because that's kind of it's such a big deal for health, but we deal with it so powerfully that this program becomes a weight loss program. And then we put on these special glasses. We all do this, and it's our fat people glasses. And we look around for fat people because we know we can make such a difference in their lives. So your motivation, our motivations aren't evil. It's just, wow, we really can help these people. And over time, we can take those glasses off and look for the I'm not as healthy as I wish I was glasses. And that could look a lot of different ways depending on who you are, right? Because if I were to look at you, I wouldn't say you need this program for weight loss. And I don't necessarily, you need it for a little bit, but I would say it's more fine tuning, right? But there's a lot of this program that we're offering you, and I could see how excited you were just from the comment of what this program is really meaning to you. We have all that to offer. We have this, which is you guys. We have this to offer. This is way, way more valuable than a chocolate ganache bar, right?
Yeah, and it's the beginning. Yes, what you're putting in your body, and I was talking to Martin yesterday. I mean, it's like a magic chemical combination of nutritionally balanced things that puts your body into fat. I don't think I'm in fat burning yet. I still feel pretty crappy, but I want to know what is it like every day? What are those moments? And Martin, being expertly trained by you, Craig, well, how did you feel at that moment, and how hungry were you, and what was going through your mind? I love that I'm able to go through it and and experience what it's like in my mind.
Yeah.
And not only the body, but to be able to come alongside somebody like my son, you guys know, that still is not contacting me. But to be able to say, I know at least mentally what it's like to go through that.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're experiencing it firsthand, yeah, and you'll pick it up. It's like it's apprentice style. Kim, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I just in listening to all of the conversation, I just think it's so valuable that, especially starting out with what you used as an example, Craig, just in being curious and learning about people and what their motivations are and all of that. And it's, I just had this, I loved Martin's analogy too. I think that's really very clear about going in for the kiss when you haven't really even talked. But I wonder with some of these situations that I'm just thinking about the walls that we put up as people. And that, I don't know how much of a conversation you had, Lynn Ann, but it's like, I guess in my mind, I'm thinking about making deposits into whatever relationship it is. And that, I was even thinking of, I have a client that lost a considerable amount of weight. And, the more I have a chance to talk with her, she stopped what I thought was very early. Like she was happy, she'd lost some weight. She could have easily gone another 40, 50 pounds, in my opinion, especially looking at the BMI chart. But recognizing I can't say, well, you really should go another 40 or 50 pounds, because that really shuts down that relationship. Instead, I have to really try to figure out why this place is okay for her, and I do know some of the reasons why, like her husband doesn't want her losing too much weight. He likes her, to be a certain way. And, some of those challenges that maybe I am never able to get beyond that, but I guess I'm just thinking about it from the comments that have already been made, and just saying, okay, I need to continue to work on that relationship and see if, the reality of that situation is her husband's going to probably encourage her to let go of some of those healthy habits. It's going to be a struggle for her to maintain that weight because there's those thoughts in the back of her mind. So it's my job to continue to develop that relationship, learn about, well, where were you at the beginning, and how did that feel? Do you remember that? And do you think it's possible to have more? Would there be, what are the downsides? What are the positive sides? And just be a learner of people. And I say that, and I just am appreciative, because this is what I had no idea I would be signing up for. I reluctantly signed up thinking I wouldn't even lose weight. And then to have this kind of assistance, help, expertise in just developing friendships, it really is priceless to me personally. So,
By the way, Lynn, Kim is the coach. There's a few that had PCOS that lost well over 100 pounds. And we told Lynn and Vina, and so they're looking for people because they know this program. So Kim's the one we were talking about. There's a few others too, but just so you can put a face to the story. Incredible. Well, great stuff. Thank you, Kim, for that. That was so good, because you can only take someone to a place they have a value in going. And so it's our job as coaches to figure out why, if they're not at a healthy weight, what's keeping them from being there. I mean, if it really is a weight that's less disease and better quality of life, that seems like generically people value that. So why is this person not wanting to go there? What's that thing? And get out your investigating thing and partner with them and see if you can figure this thing out.
Let me add to that, the intricacies of relationships. Kim, thank you so much, because I took notes on what you just said. Having a long time partner, her husband that she's with, and he's comfortable with how things are and how things look, right? So he could actually sabotage what she's doing, even though it's better for her. But he liked her plumper because that's what he knows. So he's getting uncomfortable with her losing 40 pounds, and maybe in his subconscious isn't even aware of what he doesn't like about it. And maybe there's some, gee, she's getting healthy and I'm not getting healthy, so this isn't right. So I need to bring her back down to where I am. So, because this is what I know, and it's congruent with what I know in my mind. So it's upsetting to him and unsettling to him as she's getting healthier. I mean, I think what we would all like to see, and I've seen a lot of before and afters where there's couples, that is what we would love to see in families, right? But probably in her case, that's not the case. I mean, you didn't say like what he looks like, but he could be not even on purpose, but subconsciously destroying what she's trying to accomplish. And then, right. I mean, there's some, control in there because you tend to meld with your partner. And so she's getting influenced by that. And, maybe I am really happy still having 50 pounds to go. And, I'm good. I'm just good right here, because she doesn't want to get any, resistance from her partner or create friction.
Yeah. Betsy had something to say, and I'd love to hear from Diane or Daniela or somebody else that has some.
Actually, mine's a question. Okay. Mine's a question, because you guys have touched on something that I find a huge issue with, and I don't know if it's a good time or not, Craig, but when do we transfer with the sabotage from outside sources, I find that to probably be my number one challenge for my clients not continuing to their healthy weight because they're getting so much from the outside, and we're not psychologists. So how's a good way to address that, Craig?
Great question. If who has tuned in live or has listened to the Wednesday's Habits of Health webinar? Anybody? A few? Yeah. So this last Wednesday, we talked about the idea where you time travel to the future, you see what you see, and then you come back to today, and then you sort of share and embellish the things that you saw with your current person, you today. And then the most important piece was resolving the work. You have to, and we did this, who was it with? Somebody had a girlfriend that was going away for the weekend with, Linda. Okay. And so we did this with one of her clients. And, we talked about, she planned on not drinking. She planned on getting her 8 hours of sleep and staying on program and coming back, having the scale move in the right direction. That was the future her 4 days from now that she saw. And so I said, well, what's it going to be like? So this is what you want. So it's 10 o'clock and it's bedtime because you got to get up in the morning to go for your walk. And everybody else is having a ball and they've started drinking. How's that feel? And we had to work through something that hadn't even happened yet, that was going to happen in the future. And if we didn't resolve the emotional work necessary to get through that, then she, that dream of coming home with the scale moving and staying on program and feeling great would have flipped into a fantasy. It would have been something that just didn't happen. And so resolving the work of getting up in the morning, I asked her what she could do to get people on her team to maybe have them be able to get up with her and go for a walk. And so we talked about that. We talked about feeling sort of like you're in your bed and you hear all this noise happening in the downstairs and all these fun times, and you have three of your friends having fun and you're the fuddy-duddy. How does that feel? Didn't feel very good, but I wanted her to feel that yuckiness now when it was a safe environment, and then tie it back to the dream that she wanted so she could push through that. And when the pain came and the uncomfortable came, she was like, oh yeah, I knew this was going to come and I still want what I want. And so as what Betsy was saying, we have situations where you're going to be sabotaged by someone in your family that always sabotages you because they want to give you food because they don't see you very often. And as long as your belly's full, that's still really the only way they know to love you. And so they offer you food. Well, so you're about to go away on a family, you're about to go to Christmas, and that person's going to be there, darn it. So how do we resolve the work and the conversation? We'll talk through it, talk through scenarios, talk through it being as bad as it could possibly be, and process that now, and then shine that up in light of what you want, and then go get it. So I think it's resolving the work is that piece, resolving the emotional uncomfortableness. So when it happens, and let's say maybe they caved because there was something you didn't think of. Well, you get another chance. Do over. Next time, let's talk about the thing that did trip you up and resolve that work ahead of time. So listen to the Habits of Health call from Wednesday this week. It's on podcast now. And or I think it is. It should be up by now. And it's called Flexing Your Brain Biceps. That's the title of it. So that's my answer to you, Betsy, is it's all about resolving the work. And when I was talking with Alex about this, when you have the future, that's the dream, the really excited reality, if you don't resolve the work to make that happen, it slips from reality into fantasy. And fantasies are not real. They don't ever happen. And so to make the dream a reality, you've heard that term, dreams become realities. It's because you've resolved the emotional conflicts and the work necessary to actually go do the thing ahead of time. And it feels actually very liberating once you've experienced the emotions now in light of the dream that's still present. It feels very liberating to know that you're going to go do it. So, Martin, you had your hand up?
Yeah, kind of 3 points if I can remember them now. But it was a great observation, Lynn Ann, and it's a great question, Betsy, as far as there's a concept, and Dr. Anderson mentioned it a while ago, and I read it in a book. It's called the crab pot mentality. You always think of crabs in a pot. Why can't they escape? It's because as they're trying to crawl out, the other crabs are reaching up and pulling them back in. And so when you have someone in your environment that is not supportive of you, or they're sabotaging you by, oh, you can have a little bit of ice cream, or it's okay, it's really coming from them, because some of them, they're feeling insecure. Wow, if my spouse really makes this transformation and looks awesome, I won't be attractive to them anymore. So I have to, maybe if I just sabotage them, things will be okay.
Mm-hmm.
So part of that comes from them. And which is when we talk to a candidate, hey, is there anybody that would like to join this journey for you, join this or partner with you on this journey? What's the reason behind the question? It's not really to see who wants to partner with them. It's to see who in their environment may not be supportive and could be an obstacle for them down the road as they start getting closer.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing I wanted to mention is, what's one of our resources as far as our community for clients that really have this struggle? And I think, Betsy, you touched on it. We're not trained in behavioral psychology or how to counsel them. We can talk to them as a friend and a coach, but what's a resource that we have available that's free for clients that's part of our community support? The behavioral health specialist at Nutrition Support, that all clients have free access to, that they can call one-on-one and schedule an appointment, talk to Lindsay, and work through those, speak with someone who has a master's in behavioral health, and to help them work through some of those situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Such a great topic, guys. I have, thank you for the conversation. I have actually want to go over a couple of little details here. So we've Kim, I know you had your hand up. I want to give you a shot there.
Craig, I think what she's going to share is like so relevant to
Okay, go for it. Share, Kim.
Yeah, I just, as part of my client video last week, there's a short video that came from a previous challenge by, I think it's Joe Picarero, about deceiving ourselves. And I just know, for me, especially this time of year, he talks about the word rationalize. And when you break it down, it's like rational lies. So we're lying to ourselves, but they sound so real and so believable, and they sound like reasons instead of excuses. And it just, as I've reflected on it, just with Martin's analogy with the crabs in the pot, I just realized that that's why community is so important, because it's so easy for me to see when somebody else is rationalizing something, but it sounds like truth when I do it myself. And so without that outside perspective, I mean, that's what the value of what we get here. It's funny that I can have a conversation with one client telling me, it's a busy time of year, there's no way I can stay on track, I'm running here and there, I can't get healthy food. And I have another person that says, oh my gosh, this is so easy to be on plan, because normally I'd have to stop somewhere and get fast food, and I have my bars with me. And it's so being able to help people through that. And I think the other side of it is, I need to be in community, because I rationalize things. I need somebody asking me the right questions at the right times. Otherwise, I'm stuck in those lies without even knowing it.
Mm. Thank you. Whew. Let that one soak in a little bit, huh? Woo, lovely. Thank you, guys. Speaking of community, we just threw down. Good stuff, you guys. So I definitely don't want to miss out on that. I do want to cover a couple things here. I love how these conversations, I had intended to talk about that topic today, and it was just a great topic, lots to provide. So a couple things were coming up here. So if you have your notepad, your calendar, on Mondays. So basically, who here's been part of a power hour in the past? You've shown up for one of those times when we got together as a group, right? So some of you have done it, some of you haven't. Great. So a power hour is essentially when you were a kid or in high school or college, and you got together with some of your buddies and you did homework together. So you actually accomplished some work, but you did it with some other people. You had community because you were commonly unified over the work to be done and the people that were around you that you liked, right? You may have got together at a coffee shop. Well, we can do that here virtually online. We can get together over and have community and then do work together. So we're sitting literally on our computers, not talking, but we can look up and see each other. And we have these little sessions where we send out Facebook messages, or we reconnect with people, or we do these different things. And so I have set aside my schedule, and it's not set in stone, but these are the two times that I have now. It's 10 to 11 on Mondays. And that's in the morning, 10 to 11 a.m.
Hey,
And
Craig, do you mind if I interrupt just for a second? Because I think there might be some folks that might need to hear this piece,
okay.
which is that when you come together for the power hour, it is guided. So Craig or whoever's leading the power hour is going to share, hey, here's some ideas on what to text and things like that. Now we're going to do that for, this amount of time. So it's not like you're just getting together and seeing each other, but there's no real guidance for you. It really is some excellent guidance in how to reach out and how to get that going.
Yeah, the first 15 to 30 minutes is actually a training. And then the second 15 minutes or 30 minutes is the action. So it's an hour with training, getting everybody sort of warmed up, and then we get in there and we tear it up, right? And so excellent. So the two times, Mondays, I was thinking Mondays and Tuesdays, because we're going to generate some interest and some communication on Mondays, and then we have a time on Tuesday to come back to it if we haven't made the time to follow up, right? But so it's Mondays at 10, Tuesdays at 3. And so it's one's in the morning, one's in the afternoon. And if you guys had another time that you all thought, 7 in the morning would be best, well, we can do it at 7 in the morning. But so I'm 10 and 3 are the two times right now, and we're going to do it through the month of December. So I have it right now set for the next 3 weeks, starting this coming Monday. And so you're just going to show up here. Mondays will be at 10, Tuesdays will be at 3, and we're going to have a little assignment. I'll have a little canned sort of message on how to reach out, and then we'll discuss it, and then we'll just set the timer, and we'll probably do a 10-minute blitz, and then we'll stop and do a little recap. What happened? What's happening? Okay, and then we'll do another 10-minute blitz, something like that. So that's the power hour schedule for December. Another thing, an idea of a promotion for December, Dan Bell said, here's what I'm doing. Well, Dan Bell is one of the founders of Take Shape for Life, right? Him and Dr. A from the very beginning. And he's doing a promotion. It's a referral promotion. So if anybody that's currently a client refers somebody to you over the holidays, over December, they get 25, and the person they refer, if they join, gets 25. So it's a 25-25. It's a matching gift. The second, if that person does it again, it's 35. If they do it a third time, because they're champions, he recommends $50 from third to infinity. So once person hits that third is incentivized drastically at $50 to refer you something, and that's $50 for the person they refer to. So it just goes up for both. Now, what happens, even if that, let's say this costs you $500, right? Well, guess what happens in January? All those new clients are still clients. And so you may have to take January's commissions to pay for December's promotions. Or depending on if you're an ED, those you would still make more than what that would cost you for those people. But that's a great way, because people are going to be getting good results. These are your clients, and they're going to be seeing people around the holidays, and it gives them an opportunity to give a gift away, which is a $25 off of their program to get to start what they are commenting on. You get to there, oh man, you look great. Well, thank you. I feel great. I have this cool holiday pay it forward promotion that my coach offered me, and maybe this will work for you too. Here's what it is, right? And so it costs money to get that amateur to have that conversation, to toss it out there. I don't have any specific promo pieces or something, but what you could do, I would Google 25 off, pay it forward, throw a couple graphics down there, and you can actually send it out to Walgreens and have them print a little 3x5, 4x6, 5x7, and you can actually just send it over the computer and they'll print them like it's a photo. And that could be your little promo cards. So that's the promotion that I'm doing, but I'm actually doing it when I have my client support call with people. I want to tell you about the December promotion. It's the month of giving health away. And here's what that looks like. And they're all like, oh, you can hear the wheels turning. $50? Because they're just going right to that third. That's a lot of money, and they're thinking of ways. So that's the Power Hour. That's the holiday promotion. The last thing I want to talk about is the incentive trip. And I'm just going to quickly share my screen and show you how easy it is for you to see what's going on with the incentive trip. So it says rewards trip. And you can click on anywhere in here. You can click on the U or view my progress, and it takes you to this screen here. And what's amazing about this particular screen, by the way, is these are my points right now, but it shows you what you get points. So bringing on new clients, well, they give you points for that. Bringing on new health coaches, you get points for that. Growing your rank, you get points for that. And then team building. And you can click on these and it'll take you down and show you what you do, and the 150th earner is only at 3,000 points, right? Literally, I could get, you can look at these things and see which behaviors you get rewards points for, right? Sponsor a new health coach, 1,000 points. Develop a new executive director, 1,000 points. Maintain a rank, 2,000 points. Develop a new senior coach, 500. What if you developed a couple senior coaches, or you sponsored a new health coach and they actually brought on their first client? There's points there. And so as I was looking at this particular these behaviors, I was thinking, well, you know what? I'm not that interested in going on this trip. And I talked with Harold about that. And I talked with Terry about it. And Terry said, there's a few things that happen when you go on a trip. And she quizzed me. So, well, we get together with healthy people. Yeah. She goes, but what about people that don't ever go on a trip? They don't have any self-care, but with a little bit of simple activities, they could go away to this pretty great place and be around some pretty neat people. And they may have never done anything like that before. And so all of a sudden their world of possibilities opens up pretty quickly. She said, that's as little to do with you. So teach your team how to go there, because they could have a memory they just would never have because they've never done anything like that. And so I talked with Harold about it. And he said, I don't really care about the trip. He goes, but I just decided to pretend as if I was and do only things that got me points. He's like in the top 50, him and Sam. But he's not trying to win the trip. He's just trying to do the behaviors that the trip earns points for, because if they give you points for them, they must be important. And so it's been a mind shift for me of what to focus on. And I don't focus on the reward of the trip. I've traveled plenty in my life. So I'm focusing on, what if I just pretended as if I was going to win the trip and I only paid attention to the things that got me points? Well, would people's lives change? Yeah. Is that what I want? Of course. So I want you to think about that. Go into your own My Office in Motion and click on that and see where you're at. Do a little bit of investigation on what you get points for. And then if you don't know how to do that thing that you get points for, I'm available. Let's talk about it. Let's build that skill. Because if you go on a trip, you get there because you practice things that make other people's lives change. So anyhow, that's the last thing that I had today is just your perspective on incentives. And nobody comes up with an incentive without the things that you do to earn it being worthwhile. At least not if they've thought about it. So who's going to join me? Right now, do any of you guys thinking you join me for the power hour? Yeah, Lynn Ann? That's a double hands up or just a stretch? And Diane, great. Yeah, Linda, awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing you guys there. Maybe Betsy, yeah. And so do what you can. If you can be there just for a little bit of it, great. But it's going to be live. I'm not going to record it. And so show up if you can. If there's another time that really works for you, like a Friday afternoon, I can do Friday afternoons. I could even do a Saturday morning. But whether you do it with us or not, I would just ask you, if you're not going to be there, why? And if there's something if you can only get to one of them, be to one of them, because there's pre-Take Shape for Life you out there in the world waiting for this person that's going to come to the power hour and connect with you so you could be who you are today because of what you've experienced on this program and the people you've met. So think about that and show up, because this month is a unique month and people are ready like they are at no other time of the year. And then it's in December builds to January. And then January is kind of the big, and then it starts to wane a little bit in February, not much. Wanes a little pretty significantly by March, and April, who knows? People forgot about everything in April. So, all right, guys, thanks for your time and thanks for all that you contribute to this call and making it what it is. I'll see you hopefully next Monday or Monday for the huddle. See you guys. Bye-bye.